Hello everyone, and thank you very much for watching this. And this is going to be an introduction to what goes on here at the Conways Farm Fair Days. So hope you enjoy it and hope to see you here someday. Thank you.
Jerry McGlinchey from Donegal, Inishowen Peninsula. I do this for a hobby. I do this at night rather than watch TV. That's what I do. I just do this as a hobby, and I need somewhere to sell my products. And there was a thing on today, and I just went to it. This is my second time here. What I'm selling, the first product I come up with is a thing for taking off boots, and you just step on one side, and you put on your boot, and you lift off your boot. I can take it off if you want, but you put it back on again. And that's for taking off boots that are hard to take off with Wellingtons or anything like that. That's what that product's for. And this product here, down dog, is actually for holding your mobile phone. You put your mobile phone, stands up like that there. Okay, and these here, as you see, are for hanging up boots that are outside to keep your house clean and your tiles clean. And you turn it upside down, and that means that they can't get wet. It doesn't matter if it rains or not. And these are made with horseshoes, and they're made from tensile steel, and they don't rust. They'll be there mostly for a long time. There's a brush hangs on the end of it to clean your boots before you put them up, and then when you go to put on your boots are clean. These are handmade blackthorn sticks, different types of them. And this is sheep crook. It's made for people that train dogs and other things like that. And that's basically my products. These here, for hanging up the boots, are €100. These here are €10 each. These here are €8. And the crooks are different prices. If you pick one, I'll give you the price of the sticks. All made by hand, all made by me. It takes very little equipment to do what I do. A MIG welder, horseshoes that come from all recyclable, because horseshoes be threw away because they're wore. And I just redo them again. That's what I do. There's not much machinery involved. You need to be fit a weld, and you need to have just an eye in your head for keeping things level and straight. That's all you need. My response is brilliant. I've sold one of these. I've sold about 3 sticks, and I sold 2 of these things and I sold 1 of these. So I've nearly sold everything, but I haven't sold them all, but I have sold 1 or 2 products of every one of these things today. Definitely worth my while, yes. I enjoyed my day as well, because it's a day out as well. This is the idea, because it's interaction with people, and there's very little of that now. People are rushing into shops, out of shops. This is more interaction, and you can talk to people about what you're selling. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I've about 200 of them now at home. So I'd be incubating them as well. Well, not really much of a business, more of a hobby than anything.
Excuse me, How much are the chickens?
They're 15 euros a piece. Well, these are a much bigger bird now. They'll be nearly twice the size of these now when they grow up. And they've feathered feet and stuff.
I come from Ballycastle near Downpatrick Head, so I collect all the seaweeds around the bays there, because it's a very good area to get all the seaweeds there. Most of it I get down there. No, I come from London. But I bought myself a house in the west of Ireland 30 years ago, and I've been doing this for 2013, I think. I came before, but not as not setting up a stall. It's the first time I've set my stall up. Generally, I go to Ballina Market, Farmers Market, which is Saturday morning, sort of 9 to about 2, much hours like today. I was just always very curious about herbs, so like the seaweeds are sort of herbs of the sea, you know what I mean? So, yeah, and I've always been interested in the medicinal properties of seaweeds and herbs, but seaweeds as well. Got carrageen, dillis, seagrass, sea lettuce, sugar kelp, sea spaghetti. Well, there's all sorts of vitamins and minerals, yeah. And a lot of these seaweeds have a lot of medicinal benefits, which they have done research into, It's in commercial food anyway. It's in sort of mousses and yogurts, and they use it commercially, and it's used for face creams. People buy it for your chest, if you've got chest problems. That's an old-fashioned thing, the carrageen. Oh, well, I use things for different things. Yeah, I probably like the dillis, probably. Flavour-wise, Well, I make the cakes, and personally myself, I use the seaweed all the time, and I put it in salts. I make seaweed salts, mixture of seaweeds in the salts. But I use it a lot, I always have it in the morning in muesli, I peg a couple of teaspoons of seaweed in it. Nori, the slouk, which we call slouk here, the nori, you have to wash it, and then you'll have to boil it for about 2 or 3 hours, and you make a thick paste, and that's what your sushi's made of. Japanese sushi. Well, they just basically do that, and then they make paper sheets of it, roll it out, and cut it in. That's what you buy in the super, little squares. But for that one, I'll go and get it off the rocks myself and boil it, and I'll save it in little ice cubes in the fridge, and I'll put it in the cakes, and it's lovely on a chicken. Well, there's about 500 different types of seaweed in the sea. There's one that is probably a bit poisonous, but that's deep in the sea, and you wouldn't get it anywhere unless you're a diver. You get like 400 or 500 different types here because of the Gulf Stream drift, mixing it so it's warm and cool. Yeah, people are not familiar with the seaweed. Like in Ballina, I've been there doing it for 10 years. They know people. I have customers who buy every, week for different things, different uses. But dillis sells the best, dillis and the carrageen. But I have supplied hotels in the past. Chefs, like really good chefs, know how to use the seaweeds. With this weather where it's raining all the time, it's difficult to dry it. Because I make like these bath puffs, and I have to get a lot of seaweed to make those and dry it. So that's not so easy with the weather like this. You've got good weather, you can dry it on the rocks by the sea. If you've got a good drying day, they will dry in 2 or 3 hours, different, depends which seaweeds. Some take longer to dry than others, but like the dillis and the carrageen will dry on the rocks in a day. I have a dehumidifier, which I do use, yeah. Well, I like this kind because it's very diverse, You need the weather, though.
I came from Connemara, South Connemara. It's nearly my first time in Sligo, never mind here. No, I wouldn't come up here that much now. The odd time to Donegal and down the other side, down the other coast is more normal for me now. But yeah, got up 5:30, got packing by 6, and I was on the road before about 7. I sell these into supermarkets and shops. And around COVID time, we've been going for about 13 years. Around COVID time, we started selling plants because there was a demand for it. But we're a market garden on the coast in South Connemara, 1 acre. And it's not easy to be on the coast. So we're kind of well known around there. And yeah, it's been 13, 14 seasons now. Organic wasn't so understood, I think, at the beginning, and now people are more into it. Absolutely, they're more into it. They understand a lot more the health benefits, and they don't trust the supermarkets much anymore, which is kind of funny because we're in supermarkets now. We have a roadside shop that's open, an honesty shop, open every day of the week this time of year. It's seasonal, so in the winter time it's not there at all. It's all our own stuff. When I started, I was just on the side of the road. I wasn't in any shop, I wasn't in any kitchen, I wasn't selling to any chefs or restaurants. But after a while, you kind of, on a small scale, you kind of have to, cold call, put your foot in the door, go to different places and get yourself out there. And you learn a lot doing that, but it's a lot of pressure. And on a 1 acre farm, it's quite difficult to make a living, so you kind of need to be in all the different places. Yeah, it's called market gardening, and people don't understand that. People kind of go into it to get away from the problems of the world, and you really have to be social, and you have to be kind of pushy also sometimes. And yeah, you have to be able to sell. Yeah, so it's tricky. Every season's different. You have an idea of how it's going to go, and certain markets will collapse or let you down a little bit, and other places, avenues will be successful, and some places that you never expected, and some things like we teach now on the farm. We bring people in and we feed them and we teach them how to grow your own vegetables. That's diversifying, but it's successful enough, and it's not something that we expected to be doing, that I expected to be doing a few years ago. Every season's different, and you just have to kind of react. Like, we've got more potatoes in the ground this year than any other year in the last 10 at least, and that's because, there's going to be a demand in the autumn for potatoes, so you have to respond sometimes to that, and you'll move things around and you'll pull back and you'll jump into new things. You have to be thinking a little bit ahead with growing, yeah, absolutely. You absolutely need a lot of help, and yeah, that's the biggest problem. Like, not many people want to do it anymore. They think they do. There'll be writers and poets that'll come along, and the workload is a little bit heavy. So, you have to be a bit mad to do it. Like, it's not, it's not very profitable at all. Everyone has a romantic idea, an ideal. Rudyard Kipling, he said, like, a garden doesn't produce, or you don't get a garden by sitting under a tree and watching, So there's a hell of a lot of work in it. Yeah, and people have the romantic ideal, and it's not that, but it's actually a lot more. It's a lot deeper, it's a lot more interesting. You're always learning, you're always changing, and just with the seasons, you're following the seasons. There's so much to it. Like, sitting back and watching it all unfold isn't really how it's done. You have to get into it. Like, at the very beginning, we thought that we could sell carrots and onions and potatoes to our neighbours and be good about that. But we couldn't. The demand couldn't be, like, we couldn't sell for the price that they imagined we could go to. Like, it was impossible. So we started going more into salads, and then we had to go into shops in order to get that amount of salad and make it profitable. The shops and the salads are so much more straightforward. They're not as dependent on the weather as some of the other crops. And on a 1 acre farm without machinery, you can't really be going into potatoes, onions and carrots in a big way, and cabbages. So you're going to let people down. Like, the first few years, after a while, we were letting down some of the older folk in the neighbourhood that wanted big cabbages and potatoes and parsnips and all the rest. But you can't really do that on a 1 acre farm, so you have to adapt. I don't sell my root crops, my carrots, my onions. I don't sell them into supermarkets. I just grow salads and kale and rocket into supermarkets. And the margin, it's a little different, and we don't lose out. We do sale or return, so you go into supermarket, something doesn't sell, it's coming back at you. So that's kind of the reality of it. That's nearly why they're taking you in the first place. It's much easier, much easier to be productive in greens, to get a customer base that wants it every week, and to be consistent. And you can grow greens and salad, lettuce especially, and spinach year round in polytunnels. Yeah, so we invested in polytunnels 4 or 5 years ago, and we lost 3 out of 4 tunnels from Storm Ewan, which is nearly a year and a half ago now. But we did a GoFundMe campaign, raised €17,000 and rebuilt 3 tunnels. And now we're stronger than we were then. Oh, we have customers. I'll jump in there quick. Yeah. Basil's €3.50.
right.
Hello, how are you getting on? Basil, work away.
How much is it for?
350.
Lovely. Thanks very much.
All right, no bother.
You've come a long way.
I have, yeah. I took the scenic route as well. Google Maps put me across the mountains. Yeah, you're not from here?
No.
Where are you from? South Midlands, is it?
Kind of the border between Cavan and Fermanagh.
Oh, is it? It's not too far. Because we are in supermarkets and we have a roadside shop, we've no need to, but I still really enjoy them. And we did used to do a lot of markets when I started. It's really nice because when you're selling into supermarkets, or your other big part of the farm is the honesty shop. Honesty shop, you're not really meeting the customers so much. The idea of the honesty shop is that it doesn't take away from the farming, and people can come and go and they leave the money, and that's what they take change. And with the supermarkets, you'll never meet your customer really. So this is kind of the only instance where you're, even with the chefs, and we sell a lot to chefs, they're busy people as well. You don't really get to talk to them. So this is the one instance almost. This is my third of 4 big market days kind of this year. I do the Innis Garden Festival and I do the Limerick Garden Festival. And then I'm going to the Farming for Nature because I'm a Farming for Nature ambassador in the Midlands. So I'm going to go there to the Farming for Nature Festival. Yeah, I believe in that. Yeah. They need to happen. There should be one of these in every county, really. Like in America, they've got a lot of markets similar to this. But this market's really cool. I haven't seen one person in a high vis today. There's no pressure. It's a market kind of for the people, by the people, so it feels really natural, and you can see everyone's quite happy making their way around. It's it's really cool. I'm Gary Glass is on Instagram and Facebook. We do a lot of courses, so we do a lot of advertising.
I was born and reared in Sligo, but I'd be over at Ballindoon, if you ever heard of it. It's near the Lake Loch Arrow, Highwood Mountains. That's where I came from, but I'm living out in a place called Kilmovee. It's outside, it's in County Mayo, but it's on the border of Roscommon. Since I was knee high, I was working with horses. We had them at home for doing all the work when I was young. And that's where I'd have learned a bit. I did learn. At the time, I didn't want to see them. I wanted a tractor. But I eventually got a tractor. But I loved the way the horses would talk to you. If you were working a horse, he'd do everything you tell him, if you have them well trained. I'd be fond of horses. I just loved them. If you look on YouTube, you see the love of horses. And you see me working these two now with different, we done ploughing and mowing and things like that, This is Ned and this is Ted. And this lad now, he's 13-year-old and Ted is 12-year-old. But I have been working them since this guy was a year and a half old and the other guy was only a foal. But I'd have been working them at ploughing matches, But I work them at home, I do the mowing and I do different types of work, like chain harrowing and all that sort of work, carts, and I have a wagon. Going back 4 years ago now, I drove them from Mayo to Cork. It was for a fundraiser. So they're well used to of being brought out, But you can never bring one of them on his own. You have to bring the two. Because he's bonded together. If I take him away, he won't settle down when the other guy isn't well. So they're just fond of each other, Very social. Aye. He has the habit of pawing the ground. They're the same breed. They call them Shire drafts. But they'll be from the southern counties of England, they were bred. There are a few people here in Ireland breeding them now. There's one chap up outside Dublin, he'd be up in outside Swords and North Dublin, and he'd be breeding a few. He has his own stallion and that. But a lot of people had Clydesdales in the north of Ireland, but the Shire never much came. Now, there was an odd stallion and they breed them with the Irish draft mares they had here, going back in the 50s and the 60s when they were working them. They bred them, and the Shire has a great temperament, and there's no badness in him. He'll never do any wrong, But they can frighten at different things now, and you have to be careful when you're in charge of them, that you're working them, that you're looking out for these things, He's huge, aye. I'd say, safe enough that he's the biggest horse in Ireland. He's 19-1. I have to sort of bring him everywhere along with this fella. I never seen a horse any bigger than that now. I'm around a long time, There'd be bigger ones in England probably, you know, but they're generally, the Shire, you'll get them between 18 and 20 hands, where the Clydesdale you'll get them between 16 and 18 hands. But the Shire seems to be taller. They were bred in England, while the Shire and the Clydesdales, I suppose, they were the big engines going back in the early 1900s. Like they said they came in around 11 or 1200. They came in from Germany to Dover and Hull. They built the docks, and they really never. When the jobs were finished, like it was all horse work that time, and they didn't bring them home. So whatever horses went up to Scotland, they called them Clydesdales, and everything they stood in the south of England, they called them the Shire County, so they were called Shires. But they're much the same breed. They call them a draft, and the reason they call them a draft horse is that they'll pull. The draft is the chains. See, these chains, that they'll work between the chains. Like that was the idea. And the Irish draft, like it's only a name too. Like, you know, back in the 100 years gone by, like they had gentry here, like they had the big estates, and they keep a thoroughbred horse, or what they call a driving horse that time for the carriage. Someone might have a stallion, so all the farmers would bring their mare, and what they were aiming for was something livelier than the working horses. He'll travel all right, but he's slow. But like if you got into a lighter horse, you'd be able to trot. So the bred, and then they called them an Irish draft. It's not a special breed or anything, it's just a name. They have the Irish cob, then they call him. A cob is a horse between 14 hands and 15-2. And if he's above 15-2, then he's called a horse. So if you hear a guy saying a cob, like a cob is a small horse. Oh, they love work. Oh, they don't mind work. You can turn them out every day and work them. And like I drove them, I was telling you, to Cork, and like it took me 12 days, and I was doing about 20 mile a day, between 20 and 25. They didn't mind that. Every morning they were easy enough, harnessed and everything. They didn't show any tiredness, like. But no, they're fond of work. They don't mind work. They're easy enough now. There's small problems, like, you know, you have to look after their feet and their teeth, and much the same as people themselves. You have to feed them well, you know. They like grub, like, you know, but then you don't want to overfeed them either. Now, flush grass like that would be no good to them. They're nearly better on older grass, you know, because fresh grass could give them colic, too rich, and it could give them colic. So generally I'd be trying to keep them just well covered, not fat. I don't like to see a horse, he's not being looked after properly if he's too fat, like, you know. They need exercise, aye. Oh, they don't mind, and you know, they do everything you ask them to do. You can work away with them ploughing and that, and you don't ever have to be shouting at. They know if you do one scrape up the field there, they know what to do. Then they'll step into the furrow and walk away, and you know, they're very intelligent. Like a horse knows everything before you do it. He knows what you're looking for, like, you know. There's not too many Sean Kilkennys. There's not too many guys able to do that with horses and harness them and have them trained to do it and have the interest in it. Like, every guy wants the soft job now. He doesn't like. There's a certain amount of hardship with horses. You know, you don't get it all easy. Like, surely when you're training them and that. And I think it's a bit sad the way he was treated, because a lot of people was treated that way. Whenever the lockdown came, like, they didn't think of that guy's livelihood, and them horses had to be fed, like. I think it's a bit disgraceful. The government was disgraceful towards them. And like, that whole place was owned by the state, like, you know, at least they should have, you know, given them a chance to get back into business again and get going, like, when that. And it never should have happened. The funny part about it, that it was like a cold for anyone that got it. It was only the guys who was in bad health that was going to do them harm. And it done that, you know, they pushed it in on top of everyone. I remember going down to Wexford with Hillary, and we were on our way back, and we stopped in a Strabale to eat a bit. Went to the door of the restaurant, the kettle came out, and she says, sorry, you know, you have to show here that you have got these injections. And they didn't let us in to eat. And like, we went home, like, the wife was with me, and she only comes with me very seldom, but she was disgusted, you know. You couldn't even get to bite to eat. Like, but they forced it on top of everyone, but disgraceful, yeah. I see at the ploughing, like, you know, I do the All-Ireland ploughing, and I do the ploughing matches roundabout. And sure, some counties has no horse at all. Like, say, I'm not that long, like I'm sort of retired now, but I'm not that long at, no, I was at horses when I was young, and then I was away running lorries and, tractors and that, working, contracting. But when I sort of half retired, I went back to the horses well, I always had horses. I had ponies for the kids and that when they were growing up. And I used to be training them and at them. And then when they were growing up, I thought, well, right, I'll go back and I'll get 2 working horses. So these are, I have them, say, 11 years or that. But, it was sort of exercise I was looking for. But, if you, at that time now, I started, say, in 2016, going to the ploughing matches with them. And there was 18 teams of working horses going to the ploughing match. Today, there's only 7 or 8 teams. Like, they're not going to, it's going to die out. There's not a doubt in the world it'll die out, But I'd say myself, the likes of James here now, and there's a lot of guys sitting back and looking at what are we at? Getting up in the morning at 5 o'clock, paying a ball of tax on it. He'd make a good living on this farm. And forget about this mad rush, And I'd be saying the same, what did we work 50 years for? Worked hard and paid taxes and, kept the country going, and you'd laugh. Like, I remember back in the 80s, there was a factory in Ballyhonest, it was owned by the Pakistanis, they were halal meats. And we were going to the continent. And if EU brought in a new scheme, when we were going to Italy, we'd have to buy a permit for every country we went through. We'd have to buy a permit for England, and we'd have to buy a permit for France, and another one for Italy. If you were coming back, if you went into Belgium. And McSharry, he was Minister for Finance, I think, at the time. And they brought out this new thing, a pink book, and you just get it stamped. This was before the borders came down. Yeah, and I remember looking, and the government, they were 100% behind me. He was a fellow by the name of John Wilson. And I told McSharry about it. He said, we'll get the Minister for Transport onto that straight away. And they had it for me in a matter of 2 weeks. Like the leaders today, they're trying to put the guys off the road. I remember when we joined the EU, back in 1972, I remember my father went mad. He said, we're going to be like Germany, and well, both Germany and England was always good at making laws. And if you watch, you'll see it, Bernadette Devlin, she was standing giving a talk. She was a great person. She was standing giving a talk. And some fella in the crowd said, well, you don't want anyone coming in here. And she said, no, it's not that. You got it wrong, she said. She said, England is your master. But she says, I don't give a fuck. She says, let it be German or France or Italy or anything. She said, I just don't like masters. And it's bad when farmers are being dictated to everything they're doing. And now the haulage industry is being dictated to, and you can't go out and work a day without getting hassle. And it's not making the roads any safer. There's more accidents now than ever. It's just rules, law, put your thumb on them and stop them when you want to, Clamping down. And the small farms, they don't want the people. They want it all to be planted like that. It gets crazy. When we were reared on a small farm, my father done all, he grew everything they wanted. They were independent people, but in the last 50 years, they have left them not independent. They have stopped growing. So they have to get back. They'll have to go back and start farming and forget about selling to the EU and selling to these people. Just get enough to look after themselves. What does an auctioneer know what it's worth? He's only gathering to see who's the highest bidder. And he's going to get commission. There's all these fellas are getting commission. We have to realise, that we're dealing with multinationals. When you take Tesco and Aldi and all Lidl and all those crowds, as all the big supermarkets, they have the wealth of the country. They have put their own farmers out of business here, the guys who was growing potatoes and growing carrots and all that, because the money they were giving it, they weren't, if they were selling them cheap, they weren't paying anything for them. And there was one guy there in Kilkenny, he went broke. He had 700 acres of carrots. And there's no one to replace him, They'll be brought up now out of Cyprus or somewhere, and them real fucking hard stuff that was grown in sand,
My favorite is lemon balm, mint and blueberry. But this one It's too strong.
Is that alcohol?
Nope.
No.
No, it's kombucha. He's the best seller ever, not me. I'm making the solution. The rest, it's the art of Scooby. My is intention and just trust to the Scooby do the rest. Oh, and that's it. Homemade stuff. We just discovered this market and we can try. And
we are slowly going into it.
yeah, it was just my heart and my friend. She said, "Oh, go to the market with this. It's super stuff." And I said, "Okay, I will try." And we're not selling like, you know, because we have to. No, I just want to share my stuff and intention. Just like a good health and making something organic. I'm discovered the Scooby from my friend. And she said, "Oh, you can taste." And I said, "Okay." But it was something not like I want. Then I start to prepare my own solution. If someone wants to buy, there is a phone number and you can contact with me. And
I'm with the Green Heart Network, Kinnegreek Glass it's called. And it's not an organisation, it's like a group of us, 3 of us just started to try and build a network of all the different really good groups. Like this group is part of the Green Heart Network. There's 2 or 3 groups in Roscommon. There's a group in most counties in Ireland now. So it's just to build the links between the groups so that everybody knows where the other groups are. And if you get onto our email address, which is kenna@protonmail.com, and we can direct you to whoever's your nearest group. You know, that's into natural living, growing, you know, minding yourself, all those kind of things. It's actually kind of more a natural living group, anything to do with any kind of natural living, building community, spiritual growth, anything that's natural, you know, that's what we're into. And just to find all the groups, and there's the most amazing people all over Ireland. Like until you go out looking, you don't realise it. It's just absolutely fantastic. And we recognise each other by these green hearts, which we give out to people when we meet them. And then we have these green heart stickers. James has one in his car. So he said he was driving down the street one day and somebody was waving and he was like, "I don't even know that person." And then he said, "Oh, yeah, it's the green heart on my windscreen," you know. What we basically do is we're just encouraging people to make their own groups. You know, so like we might go along, if somebody wants to start their own little group, we go along and explain to them how the other groups are doing. Some groups are to do with natural health, some groups are to do with growing, some groups are to do with just finding the good food in their area, or it can be anything basically that's good for you, you know. And also really about building community. That's the really important thing, which this is amazing. This fair day is amazing for that. You know, James is doing great work building community. So we're just kind of, you know, that's what we're basically doing. So I said it's not an organisation. We're just encouraging people to set up little groups. Even 3 people. Well, some groups meet once a week, some groups meet once a month, some only meet 3 or 4 times a year. It depends, you know. And there's like James's place here is a great hub for this thing. And then I bought land in Leitrim last year. So I have 37 acres there. I'm starting a learning centre for all kind of natural living over there. And then there's one in Cavan, Riverside Farm, and they've already done that. They started a couple of years ago. So they have this big barn and they run things there, you know, like talks about various things. I actually just got a polytunnel. I'm having my first event next Saturday. It's a workshop. My nephew does the teaching people how to do the Korean natural farming. So I'm having that next Saturday. So that'll be my first event. It's definitely getting back to people meeting up again. And even, like we say for instance, in Leitrim, Roscommon, we all know on a Thursday morning there's an organic market in Carrick and Shannon. So we kind of all there. It's an unofficial meeting place, you know, meet there and have the chat and get our organic veggies and whatever. So yeah, no, it's definitely growing, you know, and there's nothing like meeting in person, and you don't know what you're buying when you're buying online, you know. Yeah, it's great. So if you want ducks or chickens or goats or anything, pigs, I saw somebody going down the road with 2 pigs. I bought plants for my polytunnel, and I got a good few of those. I bought my organic veggies down from Rob and Emma. And I bought an old cast iron postbox to put on my gate, you know. So and a bell. I bought a bell. Successful day out.
Yeah, so it's kind of like what it does what it says on the tin. So it's a private wealth system, and it's very much based on the principle of giving. You know, giving first and then receiving. So that involves like a one-time gift of money, and then that sets up a whole stream of receiving. and what you receive kind of is like it gains momentum, it's compounded, so you get more and more. So it's an immediate input of wealth, and it's also a long-term thing as well. So it's completely in the private, personal invitation only. So it's just person to person. You know, there's no one else involved. There's not a company. It's not a business. It's not an income. It's just person to person. So all we're doing is letting people know it exists. As far as we know, it's the first time in Ireland. We heard about it through Alex Middleditch, who's very much in the sovereign movement. So we trust him, and we've got involved. So it's 100% tax free. So the gift that you give and that you then receive multiple times over is below the tax threshold. So the government have no input whatsoever. It's out of their hands, if you like. So that's why, it's private, it's tax free, it's legal. It's been going on since 2001. Founded by free-thinking lawyers, financial advisors and economists. So very much looking at, like a lot of what people hear and what James is about is getting out of the corrupt system of, banking, of the banksters, the corruption. And this is a wealth system that is just between us. It's private. Like, we're not here selling anything. We're literally just letting people know there's a website. Go to the website. There's a presentation there. There's questions and answers. There's our email on that, so come back to us with any questions if you really are interested. Like, it's not for everybody, it's not for everyone, but there is a place for everyone as well. So it's not an investment or a business. So you can come in at whatever level. There are different levels to come in at. So once we invite people, and we're inviting you, so get in touch with us through the email. And then if you're interested and you want to join in with this, then we will mentor you. We will support you. And we've got people supporting us, and on it goes. But it's, like it says, it's not a pyramid. There's no middlemen. There's just like me inviting you. You'll invite someone else. It's a linear thing. So it's completely equal opportunity. Like, I can come in now and have the same opportunity as someone who started in 2001. And it very much depends on how much. Like, what's your desire to change? Like, there's one family, they needed to save their house. So within a month, they raised 30 grand. Like, they received 30 grand in gifts of money from them having made a one-time gift of money. Okay? And that's the joy of it. It's kind of like limitless in that way. So depending on how much you share it, how much you invite people, that sets up what we call receiving lines. And you will receive from them continually. Have a look at the website. I say our email's on it. Email us, then we'll be in touch with you. We're not going to chase you. There's no selling involved. There's no chasing. It's just, we're showing you the door to a private wealth system.
It's my first time actually making my products to sell. I've just been making them for myself at home and gifting them to people and for family and friends. So I thought I might as well put a few extra things together and see if there's an interest out there. And I've been overwhelmed with people interested. It's been amazing. I just make these products a bit of a hobby. Started making them at home for myself and the family. I have an interest in foraging, so when I started to learn about all the plants that were growing around us, I decided to try to get all the chemicals and all of the processed things out of the house. So yeah, I only just started selling at the fair a few months ago. I was always interested, and I suppose during COVID actually I had the time to actually pursue it. So that's when I took the time to just teach myself what was growing in my back garden, basically. Yeah, and I couldn't believe it that we had so much medicine growing all around us. And since then it's become just a major hobby. Yeah, so I make all of my own products, and I've started to get rid of all of the commercial stuff from the house. Well, I started with plantain, and it was probably one of the most things that really made me understand how potent all the medicine is around us. I would be one of those people who gets really prone to insect bites, especially horsefly bites, and I would end up with these horrible welts and sores. And then I looked up and I found out about plantain, that it's really good for insect bites and stings and stuff. So when I started to use that, I didn't have to use any over-the-counter stuff anymore. I used them to get huge welts on my legs that would just draw out the badness, and it was so profound how much that it healed me, that I started to learn how to make my salves and stuff off the back of that. Plantain is so good for so many different things. It's nearly the base of an awful lot of the salves that I make. To be honest with you, so many people, and even today, when I've mentioned how I started off with plantain, they've said things like, oh my gosh, I've had to be hospitalised because I had, a terrible infected bites and stings and whatever, and I had no idea that I had something that I could have been using in my back garden. So I would say a lot of people looking for natural skincare, natural deodorants, and we have some natural sun protective creams here as well. Everything is non-toxic, and I think people are really looking for getting all the chemicals and the poisons out of the things that they use at home and on their skin. So I found people very interested in all the products, really, to be honest with you. And even some of the stuff we have here, like comfrey. Comfrey is a plant that grows. It's really powerful for injury and for muscles and that sort of thing, that people just don't know. And when you start to talk to people and their eyes are opened, I suppose, to what's, can be used around them, they're super interested in it. So yeah, I found just a huge interest in all the stuff, and even all the herbs that I forage and I dry as well. People would never have known that red clover is good for something. This grows in fields everywhere. Dandelion that people are spraying with weed killer. You can use every part of it and it's good for you. I think that there is a natural remedy to most ailments around us if we could just figure out what it is. 100%, yeah. Yeah, you'll often find that you might be in need of something and all of a sudden you'll find it growing close by. Like me and the plantain, it was something that was really, really interfering with my life at the time, because I couldn't go outside without getting absolutely eaten by them. And plantain was one of the most herbs that was growing around my garden. So to think it was right there in front of me all the time. Well, we have some natural things that have natural SPF, but there's no big pharmaceutical companies or anything like that have done the studies on it to show how strong it is. But raspberry seed oil and carrot seed oil, they all have natural sun protection. So I use them in a little balm that I make here with tallow and shea butter and coconut oil. It's all natural and nourishing for the skin. And I think that's all you need. So I render down my own tallow. I buy the organic suet and I render it down, and it's just really nourishing for your skin. Yeah, our skin just loves it, yeah. So I use that in a lot of the different products, and especially for the face balms as well. Yeah, so if I was infusing the plants and oils, it does take about 4 to 6 weeks. You can do it over very low heat as well if you were short. The best way and the most traditional way is to infuse your oils in oil over 4 to 6 weeks. But the balms is just with the tallow. You're rendering down the tallow, but you're always going to be adding some infused oils to that as well. So the whole thing, it is kind of it's a process, but it's a good idea to forage your plants whilst they're in season, dry them, make your oils and have everything there ready to use, and then you can whip up what you need when you need it. I've just started actually since I started coming to the fair here, so yeah, it's been just a hobby, yeah. But I'm on Instagram, I'm Balacondula, so it's Nature's Way, so that's kind of my aim, is to kind of get back to Nature's Way, and nature has an answer to most things, so.
Yeah, I've come to a couple of James's markets now, fair days, so I'm selling the pendants. There's an appetite for this type of a product, because basically it's working with your biomagnetic field to increase your strength, stamina and stability. So it's a new discovery, because there's the Round Towers of Ireland, and the properties are related to the Round Towers but concentrated by over 1,000 times more. And because they're so concentrated, they work sympathetically with your biomagnetic field to basically absorb energy from your body, and then when your energy level drops during the day, the energy from the pendant flows back into your body, so on average your energy levels are higher. So it's like a high frequency or high energy filter or capacitor for your body. One guy earlier called it like an alternator, a guy who'd bought one previously. I have 3 different materials: black quartz granite that has been measured for the properties, an Irish silver granite, and a green granite from Connemara, which is a very special material, very rare, and it was found in a very special location. The Round Towers are known to concentrate the etheric energies, or they increase the vitality of the land around them. They do that because of the materials they're built from. And so what the discovery is that there's super forms of them materials, so I wouldn't build a round tower from this type of material because it's way too concentrated. So what I realized is that this can be used to work with your biomagnetic field of your body to give you the effects of increasing strength, stability and stamina. And all the designs are like based on Irish designs, the Celtic cross with Ireland. You've got the Celtic cross and the Triskel, and you've got the pure Celtic cross here. Because I'm an engineer and a physicist, and I have a lot of different instrumentation from working in power plants in Europe. When I first discovered a material with the properties in the west of Ireland, I went home and I measured it with different instruments, and then I went comparing it to other things like the round towers, and I found that it had a super concentrated properties in the materials, which is actually quite rare, because I have to measure like up to 100 slabs to get one good slab, or 100 pieces of material, you get one good piece of material. And I already know which could be the good materials when I look at them, and I have a field device to measure that as well. Doing road cycling competitions, or even the group rides at the weekend, like some of the group rides we did with the club in Galway, were some of the fastest rides we ever did, when I had a pendant in the pocket. I do the material test and I do the finishing, and they're manufactured in Ireland. I'm working with a manufacturer to get the fine detail done here. On the third-party website, they're €179 each, and then if you meet me direct, I can give you a better deal than that. Oh yeah, it's only a rare forms of, even like you'll see very similar materials, but you need to measure them to make sure that they have the actual good properties, because the good properties are related to, it's like an electrochemical reaction that is able to interact with an electromagnetic field of your body. So that's what's happening within the pendant. That's why it's able to store the energy and give the energy back to you afterwards. I'm not like a new age person selling crystals that people intuit that have an effect. This is an actual measured effect. By the fact I'm an engineer and a physicist, and I have the instrumentation, that I'm able to measure properties which show that it can work or not. You can measure a piece of rock and it won't have the properties, then it's not going to give you the effects of the increased strength, stability and stamina. I have the instrumentation. Well, I have 3 different devices. One of them is to do with magnetics. It's a special magnetic interaction. These are not magnetic, but it's a special magnetic interaction. Another one is to do with storage energy, and another one is to do with energy release. I have a lot of testimonials. I have a sheet there of I think 12 different testimonials of pain relief, the stability there was a farmer that he's put out his back a lot, and since he's worn one, he hasn't put out his back since. The pain relief was this woman up in Mayo where she wasn't getting out of bed because of rheumatism and arthritis, and when they put the pendant into their bedside locker, she was up the next day. And she basically said that her pain had relieved. It wasn't totally gone, but it had relieved. So getting effects like that.